Hello everybody, welcome to IELTS TOEFL and University Academic Vocabulary Part 3. Today we have 5 academic words for you at Band 9 level. Let's get started. So you have a question about the environment. What can we do about air pollution? You want to talk about air pollution and there are some limits to what the government can do. A Band 5 answer, you write. The government needs public permission to stop people driving, so there are limits to what they can do. Here's this idea of some limits. Very simple. Band 6 or 7, the government can only do so much. Now it's 6 or 7, sort of, this, there are limits and this are very similar. This is a little bit higher because this is a complex sentence. You see the comma here, right? And Band 9, with regards to limiting how much someone can drive, the government must work within certain constraints. So here we have a Band 9 language constraints. These include, so we have both a complex sentence and we have the word constraints. So constraints means there are limits to what can be done. It's the same as limits as we were talking above. Let's see some examples. So child obesity. Within the realm of the education system, we learned this in part 2, there are certain constraints which they must work within. All right, so constraints here is a noun. And after constraints, there are certain constraints. You can actually use, there are certain constraints which they must work within. This whole thing can actually be copied as long as you use it in the right context. So within something, there are certain constraints. And then afterwards, you say what the constraints are. So there are some things that they can't do. So for child obesity, they can't stop children from bringing food to school, for example. That's a constraint. What they can do is they can educate the children, for example, which we'll see later. Okay, so within education, within the realm of education, discipline is important, yet there are constraints. Same thing, noun. And then next you would say what the constraints are. Now using this word and putting it together with explaining the constraints gives you your coherence and cohesion. These sentences go together. You also have a complex sentence. There's your compound, sorry. Within the realm of education is the introduction to the sentence. So we're saying where you're talking about. Then we have subject, verb, object, comma, yet, which makes it compound. There are constraints is subject, verb, object. So actually it's quite simple. Discipline is important, yet there are constraints. But it is actually a compound sentence and you get a high mark for that. So within science, within the realm of scientific research, scientists are often constrained by funding. So here we've put the by funding here as the object. So scientists are constrained by funding. So constrained is a verb, and you can use constrained with the ed, with by, and then an ing. Okay, so this is another way to use constrained by funding, but it means the same thing in the sense there are limits. Okay, so there's our word constrained, constraint, or within these constraints, or constrained. All right, so let's take a look at another 2 words we're going to learn now. You have a question about science. And are alternative strategy or energies in a positive advancement? You want to say that they are positive. So solar panels can help with some of our power. Band 6 or 7. With regards to solar panels, it is not clear how effective they are. Or can be in the future. Solar panels are capable of supplementing our energy supply, but the science on whether or not they can replace oil is inconclusive. So here we have supplement our energy supply. So this means some of our energy, we can't get all of our energy from oil, so we need a supplement. It's like when you can't get all of your vitamins from your diet, so you take a supplement, like a pill. But the science on whether or not they can replace oil is inconclusive. So the science on whether or not, this can all be copied actually into the essay, they can replace oil is inconclusive. So the science on something, whatever it is inconclusive. Inconclusive means no conclusion. We don't know what the answer is. It means like one side says something and the other side says something else. So we have different answers. So in this case, we're arguing that, like here it says, are alternative energies a positive advancement? Well, it's easy to say yes, right? The positive, yes, they're great, they're cheap, whatever, but actually there's some limits because the actual percentage of energy supply we can get from solar panels is low compared to the amount we take from oil. So at the moment, we can't replace oil with solar panels. So here it says whether or not they can replace, this means in the future, is inconclusive. So the science on the future of solar panels is not conclusive. We don't know. Okay. So to supplement is a replacement for something, and inconclusive is not 100% sure of the results. Now you can write a sentence with these. You can try. What you can do is just simply take this and try to write this sentence for an essay you're doing or for an essay you've already done. And if you do that, you'll be able to use this Band 9 language for your essay. So practice it and put it down in the comments. All right, so we can use these in almost any subject. Here we go with child obesity. Childhood obesity can be curtailed through parental monitoring. You remember this from the previous video. But whether or not it is effective on its own is inconclusive. It is likely useful to include the school. So childhood obesity can be curtailed. It means slowed down or partially stopped through parental monitoring. But whether or not this is effective on its own is inconclusive. So it's likely useful to include the school. So both the school and the parents need to work together to help the kids. And education. Disciplining a child can have negative consequences, and within this scope, as a supplement, encouragement and positive activities are preferred. Okay. So this within the scope shouldn't be there. Right? Disciplining a child can have negative consequences, period. As a supplement, encouragement and positive activities are preferred. So we supplement discipline with encouragement and positive activities because we don't want these negative consequences. Okay, and in science, research on the extent to which global warming is threatening coastlines has been inconclusive. So that's a simple, straightforward sentence. The research is inconclusive. So we're not sure. It's a really good thing to say for a lot of essays because most topics and most questions, agree or disagree, are inconclusive. I mean, there's always research going both ways. Almost always, it's quite common. If you're doing a positive-negative essay, you can say, say you're doing the positive side, you can say that the other side is not sure because the research is inconclusive. I'll do that in a example essay for you. It's coming up in part 4, and that will help you to understand how to use this a little better. Okay, so supplement, a replacement for something inconclusive. Okay, so here we have cities. Building more houses will solve overcrowding in cities. You have this question. You want to say that building more houses will only help a little. So the question, will building houses solve overcrowding? And you'll say that building houses will only help a little. So band 5, building more houses will be helpful, but the effect is uncertain. So we're not sure. Building more houses will be helpful, but it may only partially solve the problem. That's actually pretty good language. It may only partially solve the problem. So this just means part. And it's partially as it's an adverb. Solve is the verb, the problem. So your band 9 language, where's my band 9 label? Band 9 label's gone. never mind. This is band 9. Building houses will be helpful, but the extent to which it will solve the overall problem is specious. This is going to be our next word, specious. So specious means it looks like a good idea, but actually it doesn't work. So we think building more houses will be helpful to lessen overcrowding, but the extent to which, how much it will solve the overall problem is specious. We're not sure. Okay, let's see some examples. So in child obesity, while educating children on healthy eating habits is common, the extent to which this method is effective is specious. So it looks like a good idea to educate children. Yeah, educate them and they won't eat sugar. But actually that's specious. It's not true that that will happen. A lot of children know that they will be obese when they eat bad foods, and they do it anyway. Education. Let's take a look at education. In a relatively short time, we have seen that encouragement increases grades. However, the extent to which this lasts is specious. So, yes, we can increase grades in the short time, but in the long term, it's specious. It doesn't work. So how much it lasts, the extent to which means how much it lasts, so does it go for a long time, is specious. In a relatively short time, it will be possible to use robotic limbs. However, the extent to which they will have an immediate impact is specious. So yes, it will be possible to use them, but the immediate impact is uncertain. It looks like, yeah, we can use robots. People have been talking about robots since the 1950s, and robots really still aren't part of most of our lives. So, would you say it's specious? So, study tip bonus for all of these, go back through the video and write down the keywords and use them the way I've used them in one of your practice essays. So if you use them, it will become yours. Then you can work with them in almost any essay. So you'll be able to remember them and use them on the exam. Okay, so give it a try and comment below and I will respond. And thank you for watching. Comment below with your sentences, like the video, subscribe for more in the series, and go to ispenglish.com for my IELTS course. You can get essay feedback, you can read the blog, there's lots of help for you there. There's also a free part of the course where you can learn introductions. Okay, thank you very much.